You cut off like half the song. You don't know the song?
I do know it, but I'm not gonna do the whole thing.
That's such a great song.
Yeah.
You know, I looked into like there was this guy who like made it.
Yeah. Latin.
Was he's some kind of like well-known music producer? It's like slipping my mind right now. But it's like an actual song. You can find it on Spotify.
I know. My friend posted it yesterday.
And then I like how like he Crofty does the intro where it like kind of like mellows out. And then they have, you know how they switch it up when they do the drivers?
Yeah.
They're like,
but it goes up.
Yeah.
It does.
But they have it. They purposely have a guy cue it in when it's like, but it's not part of the song. It's like a different part of the actual song.
What is it? Formula One. Here, 1 second. It's gonna bother me now.
It's Formula One theme. Just like a Formula One theme. Yeah. Brian Tyler, don't play it on here, though. You can't play it on here.
It's not that. It's not that.
No, that's it.
It's not.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yeah. But don't play it because you'll get pulled from YouTube.
Sorry. It's not on.
Just pause it.
It's paused.
No, it's playing.
It's playing.
There you go. That's paused.
Cool. Milo, come here.
Oh, man.
Good boy.
Hey, dude. We just spent like 2 minutes of our podcast just doing nonsense chatting.
Where's your stuff? Well, let's get situated first. You're not posting that.
What? It's all getting posted, dude. Oh, Milo. Oh, my God. He's attacking my face with cuteness. Hi, puppy. Say hi to the podcast.
Come here.
Oh, man. I'm going to get dog hair all over my Red Bull sweatshirt.
Oh, gosh. Down.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to
Formula One
the F1 My Life podcast starring Cam and Priya and Milo.
I thought you were going to be like Cam and Milo and Priya. I really were. I really was. I was like, oh, I'm downgraded again.
Cam, Priya, and Milo, of course. He watches our F1 races, too.
He does. He's a good boy, too.
He's a Max Verstappen fan. Aren't you, Milo?
Yeah, we got to get you a jersey, Bubba Bear.
Okay, sit. Jeez, okay. He's like just like attacking my hand right now.
Okay, go down.
You want to sit there, pup?
You're going to sit nicely.
Yeah, so this is the Austin recap.
Oh my gosh. Milo off?
Texas.
COTA.
What do you mean COTA?
COTA.
Circuit of the Americas.
Circuit of the Americas.
No one calls it that, though, you know?
I can't speak today.
No one calls it that except you.
No, Crofty called it that. He called it that.
Crofty's trying to make it a thing, but...
People were so mean to Crofty.
Okay, like, let's just take it one step at a time, man. You're all over the place with this podcast, dude. It wasn't Crofty either. It was Martin Brundle. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about all that.
Brundle? What's the Brundle?
You know how we talked about this last podcast? So you're all over the place. Like,
you love this about me.
Let me just steer the boat, man. And I'll steer the boat. You just look at the sights. You know, just look at the sights.
I feel very ADHD today. Actually, I feel very out of my sorts.
Have you ever had ADHD? Have you been diagnosed? Have you ever had it?
No.
I heard an interesting podcast about ADHD.
I feel that I've heard an interesting podcast as well, but I think it was a different podcast.
All right, so we just watched, Austin, Texas, the U.S. Grand Prix. What did they call it?
The Circuit of the Americas.
No, what's the name of the Grand Prix?
Austin Grand Prix. It was
Austin Grand Prix?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have the Austin Grand Prix. I don't want to say the USA Grand Prix because they're going to add Miami for next year. So there's more. There's going to be more than one. I think they're going to actually add more races.
I think so too.
To North America.
Yeah.
Eventually. So we watched the Austin Grand Prix, which was great.
Good boy.
And I guess to answer everybody's questions, because last episode we didn't do a video version.
Questions?
And remember you were like, oh, let's see if people know why we didn't. We were just like lazy
Nobody
and
cared.
just didn't want to do it.
Well, no, it's like you've got to be like, you've got to be like, things need to all align, and it didn't. So we just tried it. I like video better though.
At the end of the day, doing the podcast at the end of the day is what we try to do, right?
Yeah.
Because you can listen to it. I still uploaded to YouTube. There was just no video. It was just a thumbnail.
None of the beautiful Milo things.
But we're back on the video. And yeah, Austin, man. We had a little bit of a break, I think, right?
Yeah, we had a break.
The last one we watched, that was in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, and it felt like more of a break because we actually are staying on schedule and we're posting correctly.
Yeah.
How wonderful is this, Cam?
Yeah. So we had a bit of a break, but it's the U.S. Grand Prix, and
With Lando.
Sadly enough, we only have like
5 races left.
5 more races left, eh? That sucks.
But the year is going to end, and then it's going to start up again.
We're gonna go to Mexico, Brazil, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and then they finish it
Abu Dhabi.
at Abu Dhabi. They always finish their races in the Middle East, eh?
Yes, they do. Sorry.
So that's what's left. But I guess Austin, man. What do you think?
Speaking of Austin, my parents are flying back from
Austin, Texas.
From Texas right now. No, they were not there to see the race. I wish they were. Shout out to mom and dad. But she was just texting me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Austin was really interesting overall. It's just like a very interesting race.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, should we keep him up here because he does not
like. Yeah,
like.
it's fine. Just manage him. Let's just keep him.
He says
He's
every podcast you're like, just manage him. He wants to be with you.
Yeah, you just gotta hold him. He just wants things to play with.
You.
Sorry. We keep talking about our dog and non-important things. Back to the race.
Qualifying was interesting.
Yeah.
Quali was definitely like interesting this time around, and I think it was so interesting because
it was a little bit of like a battle, wasn't it?
It was. They kept saying like, "Oh my God, rain is coming," and it was like, okay, rain came at the end for like a second, but it was not that.
Yeah.
I think the reason it was so interesting is because, at least for me, I thought it was interesting because Daniel Ricciardo is on the up. Like, he is definitely coming back. Like, he is definitely making like headway to come back. Because he qualified, where was it? In 7th.
Yeah.
And he was at I don't know if you remember this, but he was at a time where like he wasn't getting out of Q3.
That happens every now and then.
That happened 3 times in a row for him.
The dude, within like 3 races, the guy goes from being out in being out in Q3 to winning the entire thing.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think his issue is, his progress isn't like linear. It's like up and down. And it's weird. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Maybe like, is it him? Is it the car? Because even Norris, like, maybe it's the track, you know, like.
It's the track. Well, McLaren thought they were going to be stronger here. And obviously, like, you know, that they weren't as strong as the contenders Ferrari.
Yeah.
But it's just where they're strongest. Like, where do they struggle? What is still going on with development with the car? And what's still going on with, you know, Daniel Ricciardo developing with the car.
Yeah.
So I personally found that was interesting, and we had multiple like front lockouts in qualifying.
Yeah.
But you can go through how it started off.
So we went through qualifying. We had and it was such a great qualifying because, and I mentioned this to you before. I don't know if you guys or everyone who listens to this watch quali, but you know how I was telling you, like, Hamilton doesn't show his cards in Q1. He races, like, from what I've seen is he doesn't really push the car as hard in Q1, and then Q2 and Q3 he goes hard in the paint. And I think this is a big reason why Hamilton is actually like one of the greatest F1 drivers, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, why doesn't he push hard in Q3? Well, one, he just knows he needs to make it into Q2 out of
Q3. He needs to make it out of
Q3. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. He just needs to make it out of Q3, and then realistically it's only Q1 that matters, right? The last qualifying round that matters.
It would be shocking if he didn't make it out of Q3 and Q2.
So what I think he's doing, and I was telling Bria this, is the tires that they use to qualify on are the same ones they have to use in the race. Mm-hmm. So what I think he does is I think he doesn't push the car as hard to retain the tires. And then obviously Q2, he does have to push it a little bit, because if you screw up and you don't get a good time, you can easily be knocked out, right? It's not hard to drop like a few tenths of a second and drop to the bottom of the grid, especially if the rest of the guys end up putting up numbers. So I think that's why he really pushes on Q2 and Q1. So, I mean, going through Q2 and Q1, it was a crazy battle between Verstappen, Hamilton, and Perez.
Yeah.
Actually, if you remember, Perez had provisional pole until Verstappen.
He had provisional
crossed the
pole,
line.
then Hamilton had it, and then Max got it.
Yeah.
That's what happened. It was 3-2-1, and Perez is just like, he's killing it. Like, Christian Horner was so funny during quali. He was like, I don't know what he had in his like Wheaties, but if he needs to just continue on that for the race.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
But they all did really, like, they leave it.
Oh, he's biting on my sweatshirt. So we ended up finishing with Verstappen on pole, Hamilton behind him, Perez in third, Bottas in fourth.
And then this was interesting because you saw the Ferrari lockout, and then you saw the McLaren lockout, and then you saw the AlphaTauri lockout.
Yeah, all the way down.
Which was so cool to see.
Yeah.
And of course, the big story there was that Ferrari did better than the McLarens because they're battling each other out for the Constructors' Championship right now for that like coveted third place.
Yeah.
And it was super interesting. Like even Leclerc and Sainz were like kind of shocked at how well they did.
Yeah.
But I think that given quali, Leclerc and Sainz thought that they would do better in the race, which we'll get to, but they didn't do as well in the race. Wasn't surprised to see that, I don't know, Bottas is just struggling lately. I mean,
fourth in quali is not bad.
I think that's struggling.
You know, I think Red Bull had their number.
They did.
On this race.
They did.
Because, Perez in third.
Yeah.
Perez has skill, man.
Yeah.
I think he needs one more. I don't know, actually. What do you think? Perez, one more season, you think he'll put it together?
I think so. I really do. Yes. I think so. That was what you were saying, right, Milo? That he's going to put it in? Yeah, good job. Good input.
Milo's a Bottas fan.
Yeah. No, he's
or
not.
Or a Perez fan, sorry.
Yeah, there we go. Checo!
Are you a Checo
Milo,
fan?
Checo.
He is part Chihuahua.
He
just
is.
Saying.
Ay. My little ay.
Ish. Milo, look at me. Look at me, pup. Milo, do you like Sergio Perez? Milo. Sergio Perez?
Milo?
Imagine if we named him Sergio Perez.
Sergio?
Oh, he's like, look at that. He likes the name.
Sergio Perez. Yes, Sergio Perez. But it was really nice to see like all the lockouts the way that they were because it just showed where the teams were. Like it showed where the teams were functioning well, and Red Bull obviously did a better job, and Mercedes was second best there. Come here, Sid.
Yeah.
So, qualifying was good. It just wasn't the best that it could have been.
Yeah, for Bottas.
For
maybe,
Bottas, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then we had the race.
Yeah, the race was great.
The race was so interesting, like 50.
It was.
laps.
It depends. Before we get into all that,
Just
really.
down for a little while.
Yeah.
Come on, baby.
Yeah. So with the race, you get since Formula One's been growing, you get a lot of the celebrities and people quite honestly just random people showing up there, and it was weird. I'll be honest, because a part of it is, I don't know, a part of it is I quite honestly think Lewis Hamilton is inviting a lot of these celebrities because and we saw this what was it? Was it the USA race last year as well, where Serena Williams was there?
Was it USA or was it somewhere?
I can't entirely remember, but Serena Williams showed up because I think she's I'm assuming
No, she was, but she's invited because she supports Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, right? So it's she comes for him, and it was so awkward because Max Verstappen won the race, and
she had no idea who he was.
Both of them didn't seem to really give a shit about each other, that each other were there. Verstappen was whatever, she was whatever to Verstappen, and it was the most awkward thing, and it was all over social media that people were this is really weird.
Well, because really Max won the race too, and I remember that Max won the race. So I remember that race really well in the sense because Serena waved the flag and Max won, and you're right,
oh yeah, they had her wave the flag.
Yeah, it was so weird because Lewis didn't win, and it sometimes, this is the thing I love about supporting Max is that he is not a world champion yet, but it doesn't mean I have a lot of respect for all of the racers except for Mazepin. I feel like I say that once a podcast, but it's just it's like showing up to the US Open and not knowing who else is on the other side or not giving them respect. And the thing that like really bothered me was like Martin Brundle once, twice.
So he's known for like, first of all, Martin Brundle is a legend.
He's the homie.
He's
Hit
like,
us up.
when it comes to Formula One, he's the dude, right?
Yeah, and
he's like like what Joe Rogan is to UFC, Martin Brundle is to Formula One.
racing.
And he walks up and down the grid talking to everybody, interviewing the drivers.
Like
Christ's sake,
20 minutes before the race.
A huge interviewing the drivers, interviewing the team principals, like literally interviewing all the people that are like the reason why we even have Formula One in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? Interviewing everybody. You have these celebrities show up. He tried to talk to
Serena
Williams. She was just like, no.
And he said it so funnily too. He was like, I wonder if I'm gonna like strike out again with her because he was making a reference to trying to speak to her previously. I guess he got iced out too. And then there was this like rapper there that was there too. I don't remember her
Megan
name.
Thee Stallion.
Okay, so she was there.
I don't know
and
what the fuck.
she seemed like so excited to talk to Martin. Like she was chatting with him, and like her bodyguard was being such a like jerk. Like he was like, she seemed very happy to talk to me.
He was like, oh, you can't talk to her. And he was like, well, I just did.
And she seemed very happy to talk to him too.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller was really nice. Like he talked to Martin.
Ben Stiller watches F1 clearly.
Yeah.
He knows who Martin Brundle is. Same with Chris Bosch. Chris Bosch talked to him.
That's true.
You know, so I'm like, okay, these guys have context.
You should
I
have
know
seen
who
like Giovinazzi, Carlos Sainz. Like it's 20 minutes before the race. I'm sure these guys, and even Perez, like Martin Brundle, like kind of ran into a corner where Perez was obviously trying to like go somewhere, whether it was to the pit or to the track or whatever. And they all are like so good about it. They'll all like speak to him, you know. And it's not like Martin's like sitting there just like asking dumb questions. He like wants to genuinely like talk to these people.
You know what drives me nuts is like Formula One is a global sport.
Yeah.
And that moment
Yeah.
was actually like trending with Martin Brundle, like trying to talk to people and them saying no.
Yeah.
Formula One is a global sport. And when they go to these different countries, like whether you like it or not, it's representing those countries. So like these like celebrities and whatnot, quite honestly being pretentious and straight up just showing that they know nothing about the sport.
Don't come then.
They're just there because like maybe they were invited by like somebody who's in the sport or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It just shows like the arrogance.
Yeah, it was like a bad representation of American like stars.
Yeah.
Because
it's just stupid, but at the same time it's like it kind of like just shows people what they're there for. Like they have no idea what they're, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Even like, I mean, the only person, I really like seeing Ben Stiller there because he seemed to like know what he was talking about and doing there and everything and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
and his son seemed really interested too, actually, which was nice. All that aside, that was kind of a bummer to watch because, like, I think as personally, me as like an American, it made me feel kind of like we're welcoming we're welcoming another like sport, like a European sport, into our neighborhood, and like we're showing them American traditions, we're showing them all these things, and it's kind of just like a poor host.
You're like,
you know,
you're like pushing the stereotype of like an arrogant American. Right.
Which is kind of sad to me because I know that the sport could be so big here, but I don't know. I feel like all these celebrities and stuff, I feel like the same thing's going to happen in Miami. And I don't want it to become so Americanized that it takes away the Europeanness of it. Like Martin Brundle, if freaking Martin Brundle ever came up and talked to me, I would like drop what I was doing to talk to him.
Yeah.
You know? So, PSA, Americans,
I would love
be
to talk
nicer.
to Martin Brundle.
Literally,
even
I'm
like
adding him.
literally if he if he just even like DM me on Instagram or something, I would lose my mind.
I would lose it.
And these like, it's not even that. It's just like I don't like the fact when people are so like
Pretentious.
Yeah, like just to talk to somebody. Imagine if Serena Williams talked to him. She's like, yeah, Lewis Hamilton's having a great season, but Max Verstappen is definitely like, how much would people just respect you for just making a small comment like that, right?
Because you've got all these like golfers, all these people in Europe who
Rory McIlroy was there too.
who like know about the sport. He was invited by Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? They know about the sport. They've done their homework. They may not follow it 100%. And I'm not saying you have to be like, in order to go to Formula One, you need to know every in and out. I'm not that pretentious, but like, it's like going to a basketball game and not knowing who Kobe was or Shaq is or like, or like anybody relevant. It's just, it's
Hey,
such
dude,
a,
you got Google?
yeah.
Like, just Google some dudes.
How much
figure
would
it out.
suck? How much would it suck if somebody just walked by you and had no idea who you were? Like Serena, like, oh, I don't know who that person is, but I know who the other, or I know who, this other tennis player is. It would just suck. It would be so like terrible. Why would you go to a tennis game then? Or a match? But I'm off my match box.
So that was
frustrating.
That was kind of that when it came to.
Also super weird when Shaq was like on the podium.
Yeah, that was awkward.
Shaq was taller than all of those guys on the podium.
Why was he standing there? That was the weirdest thing ever. And I feel like somebody, like, I think I saw this, but I think somebody was like, oh, go stand there.
Yeah.
And he went and just, like, I thought, oh, maybe he's going to hand out the trophies or something. He just stood there and then left. And I was like,
right.
Okay, that was weird.
He's taller than all those guys.
Hilarious,
hysterical.
man.
Okay, so about the race itself. Clean start. Super clean start.
Depends what you define as clean.
Okay, clean start for like the top 4 or top 3. It was a clean start in the sense of like nobody like collided, nobody had any issues, but
I think there were a few bumps.
Max got I know I'm getting there. Max got like not a good start. Like his reaction time was poorer
I don't know what happened there.
Lewis, and he gave up P1 right away. He gave it up. Like Lewis just got a better start.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't make it happen, but Max kept the distance super small. Yeah. Like the interval time between him and the race leader, Lewis, he kept it super small for a while. It was like less than a second.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about that didn't get a clean start?
I thought there were a few like bumps and stuff here.
Oh, Ocon?
Well, a few people kind of spun out and stuff, I think, around the back.
Yeah, so I think it was Latifi that got messed up, and I think it might have been Ocon. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it was Ocon. And he got like turned around, which was like kind of funny because whatever. But he got damaged. And then like Ocon and Gasly actually both ended up DNFing the race. They didn't finish, which was like, nobody cares about Ocon, but like I felt bad for Gasly because he actually qualified pretty well in the top 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think anyone got away poorly. I really enjoyed Raikkonen on Alonso. The wheel to wheel.
Oh God.
That was so like heart race. Like my heart was racing watching that. That was so sick to watch. And
I think they touched, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They intertwined for a minute. They
were so close.
They did that twice.
They're as close as you can get, but yeah, that was intense.
And then Michael Massey's message.
Oh yeah, who was it? I don't know who their team principal is. So it's like, hey, Michael Massey, so we're allowed to overtake off the track, eh? He's like, no, we are not. He's like, oh, so I guess maybe just Raikkonen's allowed? He's like, nope, not Raikkonen. Not anyone. It was like so hilariously passive-aggressive sarcasm. It was so funny.
Poor Massey, Michael Massey. I think it's so funny sometimes because he can only and Crafty mentioned this, he can only present things to the stewards. Like he doesn't make the final ruling. He presents it to the stewards. The stewards have to make that ruling. And it was just so funny. It was more funny when you heard it. It was like, he's like, oh, so I guess you can gain a lasting advantage, like if you leave the track. And Michael, you could hear in his like voice that he was just like, no, you can't.
He's like, all right, man, no, you can't do it. I get it. Like, just chill out.
I don't know why I was saying.
You remember that? What was it, Silverstone, where Toto Wolff was just like, Michael, I sent you an email, and he's like, yeah, I'm not like checking my emails right now. And he's like, well, you should really take a look at it because it has this diagram. And
diagram.
It was like, Michael's like, right, bro, like I'm not just chilling here, like
checking my emails.
Scrolling Instagram, checking my emails.
Going through Yahoo. So funny. That was hysterical. That's what I thought of too, actually.
Yeah. That was funny.
I would love to hear all of the radio. I would literally love to spend a day. They have the best of team radio. No, I know. I'd love to spend a day just listening to the radio calls to Michael Massey when like things are going wrong, because they must be so funny. Because like Fine, Raikkonen had to give the place back, and then Alonso did it to Raikkonen, and Alonso had to give the place back, and it was just like a back and forth. And I actually need to see. I think Alonso finished ahead of Raikkonen, but I could be wrong. No, he did not. Sorry, he DNF'd too. My mistake. I forgot about that. Alonso, Ocon, and Gasly didn't finish. So Raikkonen actually did finish ahead of him. It was pretty funny. They were like squabbling over like 14th place or something like that.
Yeah.
And oh, it's so cool. Have you seen this? The race awards?
What?
At the top, it's DHL fastest lap Hamilton, DHL fastest pit stop Ferrari.
I think they advertised that during the actual show. Then driver of the day, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that it was on the app like this, though. Yeah, that's so cool.
I guess they would show it.
That's so sick. I like the app, though.
So, interesting thing, like, the race is going, it's pretty standard. Nothing, I don't want to say anything exceptional happened in the sense that there weren't any, like, crazy crashes or things like that, really. Which was really cool to see because Hamilton got away, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember he had like, I think 5 seconds on Verstappen at some point, and he was holding that, the 5 second gap to Verstappen behind him. And this is a thing I've really liked about Red Bull this season, and I think this is the reason why they're winning, is they're moving first when it comes to the strategy of the race. So Verstappen was behind Hamilton, and they decided to undercut Hamilton. And they brought Verstappen in.
Twice.
Yes. So they brought Verstappen in, and then I think Lewis came in about 3 or 4 laps later.
Yes, 3.
To switch up his tires. And then they did it again, right, on Hamilton. And I remember they were saying, like, they were talking about what, like, his gap would be once he gets out. And I remember, like, remember we were watching the race, and they had this shot where it's, I think Hamilton getting his tires changed. It's like straight on, and you see the straight, and you just see Verstappen like coming down the straight like so fast. It was such a great like shot where you see that difference. But point being is he did the undercut on Hamilton. It worked, and he ended up coming out ahead of Hamilton. And the interesting thing is like, I don't know, like, because he was chasing him down. It was just such a good, it was such a good race. It came down to like the wire.
Even before that, I mean, so they pitted twice a piece, right? So they pitted twice, mediums and then hards.
Yeah.
And both times Max had like a slight, I think it was like 2.8 seconds versus like Lewis's 2.4. So he was at a slight disadvantage. But I loved the first pit stop because they left Perez out there. And it was so funny because you could see the development in Max. And that was so exciting. He said something along the lines of like we're pitting early, but I feel really good on these tires. And so he knew he would be able to warm them up and get right back to the front. And then his next comment was like, why don't we leave Checo out there, so that he can race Lewis a little bit, because Perez was on Lewis's butt at that point.
Yeah.
And so he understood the implication of having Checo be the second driver. And then I think it was 1 lap later, potentially, they brought Perez in, and Lewis was struggling on his tires because he said he was struggling on his tires. Like they were losing like heat behind it, because I think the track was like heating up a certain way, and they were losing, there was like degradation going on because it was like a cooler track and it started warming up. Before I forget, the interesting thing about Perez, not only did he secure P3, that's not a surprise, he did that without water. So his like water mechanism system stopped working after the first lap, and he literally said 20 minutes into his race he was done because the track temperature was increasing. The heat in Austin is not a joke whatsoever. You know, you saw a lot of the drivers had their like kind of like ice cold packs on. So for him to do that without like that kind of like sustenance is shocking.
I mean, you lose so much water weight during a race.
It was actually an article I read. It was like shocking that he made it to podium.
Yeah, that's insane.
He raced so well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Max's strategy with Red Bull was on point. It was exactly what Mercedes did to Red Bull in Bahrain, except this time it was reversed. And Toto Wolff actually said in an interview, he was like, we thought about coming in that early, but we were just concerned that it was too early.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I knew that shortly after they pitted that we had made the wrong pit strategy. He recognized it, you know, and he thought that Mercedes really thought that Hamilton would be able to hunt down Red Bull, but they were just unsuccessful by a lap. If they had had one more lap, I think that Lewis Hamilton could have caught Max. Just one more lap.
Maybe.
I believe it. He was close. 1 or 2 laps and he would have caught him. But that's the difference in the tire strategies.
The undercut was powerful.
It was very powerful.
For sure.
We were like...
I'm just trying to think of like how many times do they do overcuts? Overcut is when you stay out and you stay faster than the car that's come in.
Lewis has done that before.
Right?
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Lewis is... And you know who really does well at the overcut? Lewis and Checo. They both do and Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel does well at the overcut.
But I think it's like if you're better on fresher tires, that's all that matters. But I feel like the writing is kind of on the wall. Like you can see it's like, I mean, I don't know. You know, because especially when you're dealing with a track that's hot.
Yeah.
Like if you put new tires on, they're going to get hotter quicker.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, yeah, wouldn't the undercut work in that case? At least that's like my thinking on that.
And then like the other thing is that like, so that there were a lot of, and we'll get to like the middle of the pack because there was some interesting things that happened there. But specifically on Max and Lewis, like there were a lot of different cases where it could have gone both ways. So for example, the last 5 laps were very telling. The gap, like Lewis was hunting Max down.
Yeah.
And Max got a disadvantage from, I have to be like family oriented here, freaking Mazepin. Because who got shown a flag because he wouldn't yield. Like Dum Dum wouldn't yield. Like, and he held up Max. And Max was even on the radio being like, get on the radio with Massey, like because he knew he could see it coming before it came. Because Mazepin never yields the way that he should. But he let Hamilton through straight and through, which was really annoying. But then Max was like telling in the interviews, he said the grip on his tires was really poor the last 2 laps, but he knew he had to like hold off Hamilton. But he got DRS on one of the Haas's, which actually helped him because they were obviously like in traffic, right?
Yeah.
So he had one of the Haas's in front of him. He was able to benefit from the DRS, and that's one of the advantages that he got. But there was like quite a bit. There was 2 people, I can't remember who it was, fighting for 11th. I think it was Vettel.
Oh yeah, there was a battle going on. That was really great.
Here, let me...
Some of those midfield battles are like really fun to watch. It wasn't Vettel and Giovinazzi, was it?
I don't think it was Giovinazzi. I think it was Vettel and... We have to talk about
Who?
Tsunoda. We have to talk about Tsunoda.
Yuki. Yeah. So.
Yeah. It was interesting though. I mean, there was a battle going on for 11th, so then yielding there was not, I think you might have been right. It was Giovinazzi and Vettel or somebody like that. And so they didn't want to like obviously yield to anybody, but they did. There were like a couple times where there was like a yellow flag. There was a virtual safety car. That was interesting because there was like a piece of like debris.
There was debris on the track.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Mazepin slowing down Verstappen was just so stupid. I was like, you know.
But the debris was another example of Max being at a disadvantage because you were explaining to me.
Yeah, with the Delta.
Yeah.
So virtual safety cars, they essentially take the track and cut it up into different like sections, and then you have to keep your speed a certain, like you can go fast and slow, but then they have a delta, which you have to either go faster or slower if you're going too much of one or the other. So yeah, it's that when I saw the virtual safety car, I was like, damn, like he's gonna catch up to him now, right? But luckily he held that off, and then man, the last Sorry, I'm yawning. The last like few laps of the race were so intense because like Hamilton was chasing down Verstappen, and like anything in these races can happen. You slip a little bit, you go off track a little bit. That's it. Your lead is gone. Not even, I wasn't even worried about that. I was just worried about like just racing properly to get like locking up or something like that. Like next thing you know, it's like the other guy's on your ass and like he's gonna overtake you with DRS and that's it. You lost the race.
And he was on his butt. Like it was coming down to a little bit less than a second at one point, and then it dropped off on the literally the last turn into the finish line. But it was very close towards the end. Like he was just about to be in DRS.
Yeah.
I spoke wrong earlier. The initial hit at the beginning of the race was Latifi and Stroll.
Yeah.
That's who it was. It wasn't Ocon.
Yeah.
But Lewis like looked dejected after the race. Like so it ended up being Max Verstappen P1 and then of course Hamilton in P2. He got the fastest lap and then P3 was Checo. And it was like very apparent that Hamilton was like expecting he was going to make it,
Sometimes it's interesting to watch the Mercedes post-race reactions because you'll have so many people who are just thankful to get on podium. I mean, I guess it depends where you are on there, but it's so interesting to me sometimes to see, like, especially in this one, like Lewis was not proud of P2.
Yeah.
He got second place and he was disappointed, but
so disappointed.
I think it's like, what's that thing where they say your appetite grows? Like when they talk about like people with money, it's like your appetite grows for different things. So it's like for Lewis, it's like he's so used to winning all the time that's the expectation for him. And if he doesn't win, it's like, oh, even Toto Wolff was like, not the result we expected. It's like P2. But with all that said, we're talking about like drivers and constructors championships over here.
Yeah. And every point matters.
Yeah.
Kind of looking at some of like the winners and the losers. That's like my favorite article to read.
Yeah.
The like person.
You read articles, dude? You read your Formula One articles?
I love it so much. Charles Leclerc did so well in P4.
Yeah.
He was really like, that's the second time he's finished like successive, like
so P4. I guess how the race ended was Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, Leclerc, Ricardo, Bottas, Sainz, Norris, Tsunoda, and Vettel in the top 10. And then you kind of have your usual suspects with some DNFs.
Yeah. It's interesting because Tsunoda won. That was a win right there.
Yeah.
Do you remember the whole like race against Bottas?
Which one was that?
Like Tsunoda, like holding up Bottas. Like Bottas was not doing well. Like he was not like doing well at all. This is our dog.
Milo just licked my protein shake. That's okay. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Like Tsunoda was putting up a great battle for Bottas.
Yeah.
And it was like really nice. It was really nice to see, especially because Gasly, of course, didn't finish.
Yeah. What happened to Gasly? I can't remember.
He DNF'd. He was having an issue at the start anyways. He was having an issue at the beginning of so things were looking difficult for him even before the lights went out. They detected like remember when you were sitting over there?
Yeah.
And I was like, he has suspension problems.
Yeah.
He started, but then he lost a position to Tsunoda, and then the suspension issue ultimately caused him to like have to retire.
Yeah.
His second retirement in 4 races and the third of the season. That's a lot.
Gasly's?
Yeah, that's a lot. Poor guy. And they're not even his fault. Like, it's not like he's crashing or doing anything wrong. It's just like he is having to retire.
Yeah.
Which kind of stinks.
It is what it is.
He's a talented driver.
I mean, it can happen.
Yeah.
To anyone for any reason, like with whatever car. And I think coming down to like the latter races now, they're like starting to have like different issues with the cars, like things that they can't really like. It's just a matter of, I think, going through like a Formula One season and like your engine starts to wear, like the car starts to take like different wear and tear and like things happen.
They
right?
were saying that Lewis is gonna have to like
swap another engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, I was kind of surprised to hear that. I'm like, where is this all like? I don't understand what's going on. I don't know the full technical details or whatever it is, but like, that's what they're saying, right? So.
But he didn't do a full engine change that time. Remember, that's why he only got 10 grid penalty.
Yeah, that's right. Because then he would have probably been sent all the way to the back.
Exactly.
Right?
And so, because everyone was like, well, Max got 20 and Lewis got 10. And I'm like, it's because they're two separate equipment issues, guys. Like, read the friggin' manual. There's actually a manual online that you can read. But it's interesting to see, flip your ear, dude. It's interesting to see, like, why there's even strategy to that. If you think about it, like there's tire strategy, there's equipment strategy.
Yeah.
Like when do you take those grid penalties? When do you take those engine penalties? When do you do all of those things?
Now is not the time to be swapping out an engine.
And that's the thing. That's what I was gonna say is that like
it's come down to the wire, man.
Lewis, like
you need every advantage you can get, and Max is slowly pulling away. I cannot wait for Mexico.
And Lewis's engine or Max's engine has been changed already.
Yeah.
So he's probably like touch wood, like good for the next 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
That big crash definitely like kind of messed everything up.
Yeah.
But it was a blessing in disguise because he was able to get P2, remember, coming from the back of the grid.
Yep.
And if Hamilton, who's just as capable of coming from the back of the grid and getting P2 or P1, maybe he should have taken a full engine, whatever. At me if you know the reason why they didn't do that.
Yeah. So yeah.
What else happened?
What else?
There was other stuff.
What else? I can't even remember. I didn't take notes on it.
I mean, it was until the last part of the race. It was kind of like really good battles between like Alonso and Giovinazzi. And Giovinazzi did not have to give that place back, by the way.
Really?
Because the way he left the track.
It was kind of a weird. Yeah, it was like not really an overtake. It kind of was though, you know?
So he didn't have to give that place back, but Alonso had to give his place back. Alonso was not happy about that, but it is what it is. It was pretty funny to hear them on the radios. That's kind of all the way that it ended, and I know you already read out the endings, but we obviously saw that McLaren fell behind Ferrari because it was Leclerc, Ricciardo, Bottas. Sainz, Norris. So Ferrari was always in front of the McLaren counterpart.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised to see that Norris was still in the top 10, but I was surprised to see him in 8.
Yeah.
But I'm like really proud of the way that those 4 finished as well. Like they're shaping back in. They're coming back in.
Yeah.
Vettel got a world champion point. That was great. Stroll obviously was just like screwed out of it. Russell and Latifi, I mean, Russell didn't really do that great in quali, and he really didn't do that great in the race. But, I mean, obviously all of that's going to change next year. And, of course, Mazepin always finishes last. And I think it was funny because Crofty was saying in, like, the rate, in quali, he was like, and for, like, the 13th straight race or something, Mazepin, it, like, finishes, like qualifies last.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. Milo is having playtime right now.
Yeah, he is having playtime.
He is so energetic. You know, he doesn't like when we talk and not talk to him and pay attention to this puppy because he just wants all the attention. So he gets, like, really, we had to take a break there and like put him in his crate because he was getting like really like restless.
I'm always nervous that he hits himself with this, like in the face.
Man, with his toy.
But you can't do that anymore. You're
I'm
not
just
supposed
holding
to tug
it. Yeah, I'm just holding it so you can like.
Milo's lost a couple teeth.
Yeah, he's losing his baby teeth.
Yeah, but yeah.
Hey, Milo, did you enjoy the race, Milo? I enjoyed it. Did you
Yeah.
enjoy watching the race?
He was very good throughout the race. We even like held him up to like the F1 gods and did a little dance with him at the end. And by we, I mean me, because I did not know if Max was going to be able to do it.
Now we're going to his home race.
Yeah,
Next
Mr.
one.
Chihuahua.
We're going to Mexico.
Yeah.
That's where you're from, buddy. You got to be a Checo Perez
He's actually
fan.
from Texas.
Yeah, but where do you think the Chihuahuas come from?
No, I know, but I'm saying this. Interestingly enough, he was from Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, remember
yeah,
he came from Texas and we got him in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our next race is not next week, but it's going to be the week after in, I think it's November 6th.
Yeah, it's going to be in Mexico.
In Mexico. I'm so excited because the Mexican fans are amazing. I love the Mexican.
That track is sick, though.
So sick. The track is so sick.
Yeah.
And I love seeing Checo's like support. It's so amazing to see him in the Red Bull
Yeah.
in like a competing car. And
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Just to see him like qualify and race too. Oh man, imagine Checo winning the whole thing.
That would be
in
so
Mexico.
amazing. I would love to see
That
that.
would be like the Cinderella story complete, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
That'd be so sick.
That'd
Right?
be so sick. I want to see that, and I want to see next year Daniel Ricciardo take Australia. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. How cool is it to win your home race? Like, just, I feel like that should be a rule. You should be allowed to win your home
it
race.
depends on who the driver is.
I know.
To be honest, like Hamilton winning Silverstone is like,
Duh.
yeah, I mean it's enjoyable, but just to see somebody like Checo or even Daniel Ricciardo win in Australia.
Well, like, you know, Max won his home race, which was like meant
but
super
Max
big.
is like Max is Max too. For him, it's like
Yeah.
sure it might be a big deal, but it's not like Checo winning in Mexico would be
Yeah.
insane.
Charles wants to win so hard in Monaco.
Yeah,
But he obviously like had that huge issue.
yeah. But the way everything's shaping up now, the Drivers' Championship, Verstappen pulled ahead. Mm-hmm. You know,
13 points?
by a slim margin.
me
Yeah,
see.
something like that.
13 points, I want to say.
And it's getting real close, man. It's
13.
coming real close.
Wait,
So
I can't do math. 12 points, sorry.
it's
12
gonna
points.
be an interesting.
He's eating my foot.
It's gonna be an interesting finish to the season.
And
Really?
so the standings right now are Max Verstappen in first with 12-point lead.
Yeah.
Well, it was 13, but I guess the fastest lap gives you a point, right?
Yeah.
So
Did Hamilton get that?
Hamilton got the fastest lap. So that's how he keeps kind of sticking it in.
Yeah.
Bottas is at 185 in third place, but Sergio Perez, if he like won next race, he could be up there. He's got
We'll
150.
Yeah, let's
And then
see.
Lando is just a point away from Sergio.
Yeah,
in
let's see
fifth.
what he does.
And in the constructors right now, Mercedes is 23 points ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this puppy is trying to tell us that our podcast is coming to a close.
Milo. I don't
He
know what he's doing.
so much wants to be with us.
He's like sniffing the shirt. He wants a sweatshirt. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You want the sweatshirt?
So guys, as always, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and at
Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to watch the video version and see our puppy just going nuts. Yeah, and on Spotify.
and follow us at F1
and on
My
the
Life podcast.
And on the Instagram. I'll try to start posting stuff on there. Some clips here and
Come
there.
here.
I will
Come
stop
here.
it, bud.
So I want you to say goodbye to everybody nicely. Nicely. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. He really likes you right
Subscribe
now.
to the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, can you just hold them?
All right. Bye, boo-boos. Bye, everybody.
All right, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.